They say a picture speaks 1,000 words, and I just turned to page 113, and I look at the system during the day of the launch, and they've got icicles that are 1 foot long or more. They've got instrument boxes encased in ice. Now, we're talking about the theory of a decision process, but it would seem to me that if this picture had ever been conveyed by those on the scene to other higher levels of management, in no way, shape, or form would a decision have been made to go ahead. Given the O-ring problems, the temperature problems with the O-ring, the design specifications for the O-ring. I mean, it went down to 8 degrees that night. And they say the ambient temperature was in and around 30 or so that at the time of the launch. It's very conceivable that the O-ring itself was well below the ambient temperature. It's really hard to believe. I mean, it is almost outrageous. But I guess we go forward. I'd like to ask some specific questions here. You've recommended many safety-related changes. You recommend institutional and organizational changes, changing on the equipment side, main engines, landing systems, joint redesigns and tests, etc. Do you have a feeling as to whether or not these changes can be satisfactorily resolved in time for July 1987 resumption of shuttle flights? I mean, I think everybody wants the shuttle to move forward, but boy, there's a lot in there in these recommendations prior to
well, I think they can be implemented. I think they can be implemented quickly. I think they have to be. And I think, as one of the other members of the committee suggested, it's a matter of mindset. I hope that the mindset of a lot of people in NASA has changed. You've got to get moving, and there have to be changes made, and they have to be made quickly, I think. I think one thing that we detected early on in the investigation, which has changed, was there almost was an attitude on the part of some people in NASA, based on their public statements, that the accident never happened, that the commission was causing the problem. And I pointed out to some of them in private, we didn't have anything to do with the accident. We just came on later on. And it was the NASA problem. That's what caused the accident. That's where it happened. Those are the ones responsible.
I'd like to ask Astronaut Armstrong at this time, are we dealing with a climatological situation in this particular area of the country which is not conducive to an expeditious and efficient launch capability? I mean, I don't want to raise any hackles here, but a lot of people from Florida around. But
listen, I forbid anybody on the commission to answer that question.
Mr. Nelson's not here.
Well, Mr. Fuqua, the distinguished chairman, and Mr. Lewis, my distinguished colleague, are here. And we just seen so many weather problems and so many temperature problems, and at some point you wonder, geez, is this the right spot?
Will the gentleman yield?
If the chairman allows me to take additional time, I certainly will, to the distinguished chairman of the committee.
Maybe the commission can explain where the ice came from, because it didn't come from it was cold weather, but it was not raining there. It came from a emergency shower that was left on to keep it from freezing, and the drain plug froze up and it spilled all over and caused the icicles. So it was not necessarily a weather problem. Well, it was a weather problem that caused that, but it was not it was an unnatural
I would suspect that the weather kept the icicles there.
Yes, it did. It kept them there.
If I could just reclaim my time and go on to the you didn't comment, Astronaut Armstrong. Could you please?
Well, with respect to your last question, it appears as though the freeze protection system as implemented was imperfect and needs changing, and I think NASA is fully aware of that, and it certainly will change that system that made the icicles.